So today we'll be training on how to do virtual events as well as in-person events or hybrid events so that we can hopefully give you as many tools as we can so that you can be successful. Now this training is going to be very dense and it looks like these tools are overwhelming, but really there's only a few places that you have to fill in the blanks. But the things that you will need to do is just when you're, sorry, my grandkids arrived here last night, and so I'm being given hugs. But anyway, right in the middle when they shouldn't be. Anyway, so we want to be able to answer your questions in the moment that you have them. So there's places where you can do drop-down boxes and get answers. There's always resources that are around and available to you. Our goal is to help you be as successful as possible so that your teams can be successful. And if we cannot get this figured out, we have the reality that some teams may go away. And we do not want that to happen. We want everyone to be successful, and everyone here at the Ballard Center is doing that. On our last year when we did our surveys, several people said, we have an events team or we have a campus relations team. And so there's some of you who do not know who the support teams are here at the Ballard Center. The support teams are here to support you and to help you be successful. And we want to introduce them now so that we can let you know who everyone is. So to begin with, you all know our director, Todd Manwaring, and managing director, Alicia Geddes, and who we wouldn't be here. Todd has 15 plus years ago, started the Ballard Center and has grown it into the largest social program in the world and in any college, and that's including graduate programs. And we are here because of Todd's amazing work and diligence. And we all know and love Alicia and all the hard work that she does, but she is able to take concepts and ideas and just figure out how to expand them and make them all grow and come to life. So we are so fortunate to have Todd and Alicia. The events team consists of myself and is that going to work, Kate?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
And Sophie and Kate. So I'm so fortunate to get to work with these amazing ladies. And as you'll hear today from them, they will be doing most of the training today. Amazing, amazing women who are here to help you. Our next team is our marketing team. Sabrina is the marketing coordinator, and she is remarkable. The most can-do attitude of anyone I've ever met. And she just reads your mind and gets it done. She'll be working with Caitlin Hall, and we're excited for all of the things. They're going to play a key role in everything going forward. Our next team is our graphic design team, and we are so fortunate. We are, it's Emily, and then Zach, and then Emily. And Emily got on a plane last Saturday to the Netherlands and is going to get to do her internship this summer. So we're so thrilled for her. And hopefully we'll get her back in the fall. Not sure, but we will have Emily and Zach, who are extremely talented graphic designers who create such beauty and really make our events come to life on paper, which is a great, great skill. So we're thrilled to have them. Our next team, Ben. Ben is the man with all of the data, and he's helping us to quantify with all the testing that we're doing on what does and does not work. So we'll hear from him later in the in the training as well. Wes is our photographer. We do have a photographer on staff, so there will be events that we need a photographer for, and we can include Ben in that process. And then our public relations team, Zell is right now doing the newsletter and working with our PR team and leading that. She is moving, helping her family move right now. They are going to be her parents are going to be mission presidents. And so she's there with them for a little while and won't be here. But we have a great person, Elaine, who will be joining us summer term, and then they'll both be working in the fall. And our success managers, we know from last year and we'll be moving forward, Luke and Kaysen, who do an amazing job of figuring out solutions and for the Ballard Center and helping keep everyone on track. They do an amazing job, and we're thrilled to have them back. And our financial secretary, the sweetest, kindest, most diligent person at the Ballard Center, who needs all of our help and support in getting those receipts back to her. But Cami is very patient and willing to go to the end of the earth to find those receipts. So glad to have Cami. Cheryl Crockett is our HR manager. She joined us about a year ago and has made a huge difference in connecting with all of the students. Last year we had over 100 student employees, and it's been wonderful to have her. And we're very sad to say that Adriana will be here this summer, but leaving us. She thinks she can graduate, and it makes us sad when people graduate. So we'd like to say, please just stay forever, but people do that. So Adriana will be here this summer with us, and we'll get to enjoy her fun and enthusiasm, but then we'll be off. So now this is our advisement team, Jenna, Maddie, and Phoebe. These women are so committed and dedicated and willing to support your team. So with advisement sessions, they've been doing virtual advisement sessions this summer, and they are really training and they're promoting your programs. You want to be best friends with them because they will help during advisement sessions get people into your programs. And then our videographer, Sophia, who does beautiful work. And she will be a critical piece in the event that we're doing this summer and in many things that we're doing to make sure that we can create great content to put out online. And our campus relations team, Dylan and Alex. Dylan and Alex connect us with people around campus, all of the professors, departments, and people around campus. When we have every college on campus partners with us with the Peary Film Festival. And a lot of that is the work that they're doing in making those connections. And they will be coming and working with you to figure out ways that you can work with partners around campus to help expand your reach.
There you have it, folks. Those are our support teams. And we wouldn't be here without you and your programs. So it's really important that we all work together. So today, the purpose of the training is that we help everyone understand how to create well-done and on-brand events and execute them. And we do this through a tool called the Event Management Tool, or EMT. So we have two types of event management tools. We have one that's general that everyone can use for whatever events they're doing, and then one specifically for clubs. That's the EMT Matrix. Now, that is just for anyone who has events that are reoccurring. However, today, for training purposes, everyone will be using the normal just EMT. So I am the president of the BCSA, so I know how to use the matrix one for clubs too. So if anyone has any questions for clubs on how to use that after, please feel free to come and talk to me. This is a dense tool, and we want everyone to know that it's not just dense for dense sake. This is not busy work or red tape. This is the ultimate how-to for events. So we want you to view this as a tool and use it how it works for you. A few of you mentioned the petting zoo. I used an EMT to plan the petting zoo, which never happens and it's random. And basically, you can use this to fit whatever events you do, no matter how random and out of the box. Take it away, Kate.
Great. Thank you so much, Sophie. Okay, so we're going to come back to Box. Right now, we're going to reference the pre-work that you should have done coming before this training, which was selecting an event that your team is going to plan during this training. So you should know the event, the location, and the time. So just to show you what we did, hopefully what you did, came into program files. Today, for the purpose of this training, we're going to use the Ballard Center Student Association, their folder. So we're coming in here. Within your folder, you should have a folder that has this year. You'll click on that. And then within that, you'll see an events folder. And then you'll see various documents. Yours should just have these two, the event management tool template and the event calendar for whatever your program is. So as Sophie mentioned, we've created this event management tool. You have this in your box as a template. We're going to be using this today. What you'll do is come here and copy it. I've already copied one, but it will come up as a new one like this, and then you can rename it. So you'll come in here, you can rename it to whatever event it is that you're working on today. And then, as the video said that I created for the pre-work, you'll come in here and choose this option, Microsoft Excel Online. This will enable you to work together as a team during this training to plan this event, just to practice using the EMT. So you'll want to, every time that you come in and create an event and use this event management tool, you're going to want to copy this tool template so that you can keep the template fresh. The last thing I want to mention right now is this calendar. So we're in the process of rolling out a new system as far as calendaring our events. This calendar, hopefully you saw it before coming here, but it has the events that you did previously and then a spot for you to plan new events this upcoming year. This is specifically for your team. No one else will really see it. However, when you are feeling confident that your program is going to happen and you know the date, you're going to move it to the Ballard Center planning calendar. So there's 4 different calendars that I'm going to be explaining throughout this training today. The first one is your private calendar that's within your box. And the second one is a planning calendar. After this training, hopefully sometime soon after, you're going to receive a link to this Ballard Center planning calendar. That will enable you to put in your events that you're planning once you're pretty sure about the details, so that we can avoid scheduling events on the same day, so that we can see everyone's events and we're all on the same page. So the planning calendar is then a precursor to the last 2 calendars that we're going to talk about later today, the private and the public. Later on in the training, I'll address those. And then we'll have a more clear understanding of all of the calendars, but that's what you need to know right now, is that there's your event calendar that's within your box, the planning calendar, and then the private and the public calendar. Okay, so now we're going to take a moment and everyone do exactly what I just did. Come into your box folder. Do this while we're talking. So come onto box, come into MSB Ballard Center, and then program files, or if you're a support team, program support, you too should have a template in your box. So come into your box account, click on the year, and then the events folder, And within the events folder, find your template and copy it and rename it with your team right now. And then pull it up on the online version so that we can work on it during this training. And if you're having any questions while you're doing this, or if you don't see your template in there for some reason, I can send it to you real quick, or I can add it to your box. So pull that up, and once you've got it, please select, please do a thumbs up on the participants screen so we can see who's ready to go. Or rather, actually do a check yes when you're ready.
Also,
Good
we're
work.
using this for the whole time. So this isn't something you just want to like wait out and hope that Kate forgets that she asked you to do this, because it'll be really boring if you do that.
Thank you, Sophie. Nice, Jenna. Nick looked great. Good.
Okay, so some people are unable to edit their docs for some reason. Sabrina, could you send them a copy of the EMT meanwhile?
I can do that if,
Okay.
and you can carry on with the next part if you'd like.
Okay, great. Sorry about that, you guys. So the purpose of today's training is not to help you plan an event, because you're probably not going to know all the details yet. It's to understand this tool. So the event is going to help you understand how to use this tool. So if you don't know all the details, don't sweat it. It's fine. You should know all the details. So we're going to walk through each different section of the EMT. So just as I'm talking, you can either look at Kate's shared screen or look at the one that's up on your computer. So let me explain the event that we used this EMT to plan for us. We're doing a virtual awareness event, as we mentioned before, and the platform is going to be a Qualtrics survey. What we're going to do is we're going to have all the employees post the Qualtrics survey link and talk about how we're giving out $300 worth of gift cards, however we decide to split that up. And we're going to basically have it be like an awareness event where they come into the survey, they read what the Ballard Center is, they select a video from a program, under a minute video, and then they leave their email for the newsletter, mark if they want to do an advisement, and enter to win the raffle. So that's our event right now. So you'll see our details are all going to be pertaining to that event. So let's get started with the general info tab. You'll see at the top in the general info tab, it says event date. Now that event date will dictate all of the other due dates in this box. So it's really important that you fill that out and make it accurate. I love this feature because it's one place that you can go to make sure you're on track. That being said, you have to manually go in and mark what you've completed. It doesn't just autofill. You'll notice that anything that's incomplete is red. And then if the incomplete and the date is red, that means that it's past due. So that's a little way that you can keep yourself in check. Under that, we have your 8-word program statement, and that's to make sure that whatever event you're planning is helping you accomplish your program mission. And then under that, you have, like Rose explained, all the different support teams. You have their contacts, and event design and leadership team contacts. That's just if you need any of our assistance there. And if we scroll down, then you'll see, oh, wow. Yeah. So there's a place to put, okay, I totally messed that up. So Ballard Center contacts are at the bottom. Those are like a not autofill, they're just there. Event design and leadership team contacts, that's basically whoever's helping you plan your event. Sorry, guys. You might wonder why it's important to fill out that box because you already have their numbers in your phone or whatever. I get that, but here's why. Every section to come after this, you'll have someone that's in charge of each section. You'll choose who's in charge via a drop-down. The drop-down list comes from the event design and leadership team contacts. So it's important that you fill it out so the drop-down box is totally accurate. So we're gonna send you into your breakout rooms for 2 minutes to just kind of go through this and fill in your date and things that you have completed, your mission statement, and some event design leadership team contacts. It's okay if you don't get totally done. This is just so you understand how it goes. And then come back with any questions that you have.
Great. And if you don't have, if you, for some reason you can't copy it right now, I've put a copy in a lot of yours, but if I didn't get to you, just go ahead and use the event management tool template that you have, and we'll copy another one later on. So hopefully that works. Once again, if you have questions after you're in your breakout room, I think there's some way you can contact us and I can come help you and try and figure out what's going on with Box. But thank you, Sophie, and we are going to put you in your rooms now, and we'll see you back in a minute. Ready?
Welcome back. This is actually really exciting for us to find out who does and who doesn't have access to Box right now, because I think that'll prevent a lot of long-term problems in the fall. A handful of you guys have either direct messaged me or emailed me your NetID. So if you can't edit on Box, go ahead and send that to me and I'll get you access. And then for some of you are still having problems, even if you do. And so the question back is for another day is, you know what, I'll send you guys an email another day because I want to focus on the event management tool today. But for today, go ahead and send me your NetID and I'll get you, make sure that you have access to Box. And if you're still having problems, we can troubleshoot that later. What Sabrina is going to do is send an email to everyone right now with the event management tool. So if you can't edit for some reason today, she'll make sure you get that. Kate, I'll let you take it away from there.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, sorry we're still kind of working things out, but hopefully you'll be able to work on this document as we go, because I think it will be really helpful. But we are going to move right along in our document. We're coming to the next tab, event planning. That will work for me. Okay, scroll to the top. So just a few general features of the event management tool. Wherever you see yellow, that indicates something that you should fill in, just kind of help you move through it. And then also on the right-hand side, there will always be a place for notes that you can add additional details that are specific to your event. Like Sophie said, we want this tool to work for you. So if you find that there's something that's not in here that would be helpful, go ahead and jot it down here. And you can edit this and change it however is helpful for you. Okay, so for the purpose of this training, we're going to keep running through here. You'll see at the top of each section, there's this section due date in red, and it will automatically fill in when this section is due. So here, this is due the beginning of the year or the semester. This one as well, but then you'll start to see dates pop up. So for this section, who is in charge? Like Sophie said, it's important to put all of the people that will be working the event so that you have these drop-down options. So you'll select who's ever in charge, and then you'll continue on to event details. You'll have your start time and end time. For our event, it's going to be at 9 a.m. on the 10th of June, and it will end 48 hours later. Our budget is $600. These are all things that you type in. Then over here on these details, these will be all drop downs. So our event is going to be an awareness event. Yours might be different. The event size, you can select that. The target audience, you can also select that. Fill in what the title is. This is referencing the calendars that I talked about. So is this event on the Ballard Center planning calendar? You will be able to add it onto the planning calendar once you're more sure of the details and the location, the time. And once you do add it, go ahead and select yes here. And then down below, you'll have an event description. This is the description that will go on the calendars. So whatever you want it to read so that people know what your event is, put it right here. And we will turn it over to Rose.
This is an extremely important part, the event output planning. So Ben is the one that's going to help us at the very end of this tool to be able to get our outputs. And if you look down here on the bottom left, you will see commonly measured event outputs. These are the things that we commonly measure. And you may have other things that your team is wanting to measure, and there are lines there to fill those in. You want to pick 1 to 3 outputs that you want to have happen from this event. And you need to be very thoughtful about them, because this is a way of really figuring out how you can make changes and improvements and make sure you're meeting your targets. We can all say, oh yes, we think this works, but does it? Is it really the fact that we're having Cafe Rio at this event? Is that really the reason people are coming? Well, are they only coming for that? Are we really getting people into our programs? So what we found is that by looking at things, these key outputs, and being able to measure them, price per person, what it costs us to get people into our programs, we can make far more educated choices in future events.
Great. Thank you, Rose. Okay, moving down to venue details. This is the section where you're going to be filling in details about your venue. Makes sense. As Rose mentioned, we are in the process of figuring out how to plan an event during a global pandemic. And so everything is very rough and still in the works. So we're excited to kind of hash out these details with you, but hopefully this will kind of get your mind working and your gears turning. So for venue details, once again, you're going to select who's in charge, who will be helping with that. Here, is this a normal, hybrid, or virtual event? Our event is going to be virtual that we're planning. However, for the purpose of this training, I'm going to show you as though it were a normal or a hybrid. Hybrid means that it has part of it online and part of it is in person. I'm going to say this was a normal event, and you'll see that these sections opened up because these sections pertain to in-person events. These include the reservations. So you'll see,
Just so you all know, Kate is in Hawaii. So if there's a bit of a lag, it's because she's far away.
Way too stoked. That's what it is. You seem like
Thank you, Rose. Am I okay? Where did
Yes.
I cut out? Did you miss a lot?
No, just kind of pick up whatever you were saying.
Okay. You guys are smart. I'm sure you would figure this out anyway. But so yeah, these are pertaining to the reservations. And then the reservation start and end time. These will be different than your event start time and end time because we want to allow time for setup and cleanup. So that's helpful. And then here, does this event require multiple reservations? If you were to select no, you would see that this section blanks out. However, I'm going to show you if you did need multiple reservations, here you have a spot to put down additional reservations. This may be for an event that has multiple reservations within the same day, or an event that maybe happens every week that looks the same. If you don't want to use the Club Matrix one, you can use this tool and just put your multiple reservations. An example of when you might need this, NSS did an event with Alex Counts last year where they needed multiple reservations for the same room. So this would be handy for that. So I'm coming back up here. Our event is not normal. It is going to be virtual. So you'll see, once again, these black out, which is great. So for our virtual venue, the platform, we're going to use a Qualtrics survey. Participant registration is not required, and the participants will be filling out a Qualtrics survey during our event. Right below it, you will see whenever there's a section that is in orange, this indicates that there is more information for you. It's not all inclusive, but it may help you in planning your event.
So like Kate said, this whole like virtual event thing is uncharted territory and we're trying to chart it. But one thing that's important to chart is etiquette on these events. I'm sure on Zoom we've seen all manner of people in Zoom style. And, you know, as a host, it's really important to make sure that you're taking professionality seriously and that you would be just as present and professional on Zoom as you would be in person. So I'm sure we've all seen the people on Zoom who like show up and they're like all of a sudden on this like tropic island, like not like Kate's on a tropic island, but it's like a fake background tropic island. And you're like, oh, nice, dude. And then there's also when they're like walking around, walking their dog, like profusely sweating and like you're getting motion sickness. That's also not optimal. Then you got the person who answers from their bed and they're like, hey, good morning. And you're like, okay, that's honestly way too close. So there's lots of different types of ways to make Zoom awkward. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. Oh yeah, or people are just like lounging and like, that's just, you know, as great as that is, and as awesome as it is to be able to have like professional on top, party on the bottom, we want to make sure we only see professional on top and we just keep it that way. We want to avoid any Jennifer moments. Now, if you know what I mean, sorry, you're gonna have to watch this video again, but get ready. Okay, Jennifer is the person on the left in the middle. Just remember that, left middle, P. Sherman 42, Walby Way, Sydney. Okay, let's do this. Sure. Okay, give me 1 second.
Is one of the only professions that say that we can never get involved with a former client ever, regardless of how long it's been, versus like some other professions say a few years or whatever. I think it really depends on just like the ethical standards of the profession. And in reality, I've heard that social work kind of has very high standards and like good standards in terms of things, and that oftentimes people of other professions don't have. Hold on. What happened?
I saw nothing.
Okay, so horrifying, right? So the kind of person we forgot to mention is the person that always has their camera off. Now, as a host, it's like, dude, are you even there? Like, hello, and you talk to them and there's no response and it's so awkward. That being said, there is a time to turn off your camera, and that's when you're going to the bathroom or when you're chowing down. Honestly, no one needs to see that either. So just use discretion and professionality, be where you are, and don't pull any Jennifers, because poor Jennifer. Let's see. That being said, should we just dive into event logistics? Oh, actually, last thing that I think is important is to make sure you're safeguarding Zoom bombing. So that just means that, like, you know, people, I'm sure you've read about it, but will come in and hack Zooms and show inappropriate content. Ways to safeguard that is to have a password to your Zoom meeting, and things like that. All right, Kate.
Okay, great. Sophie, fantastic. Can I just say it's the best thing ever working with Sophie? She keeps me constantly entertained. Okay, back to our event training. Here we go. So moving right along to event logistics. Just a quick note, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sophie again. So you'll see here is the event on the Ballard Center private or public calendar. So these are the other two calendars that I was going to explain. So they're the same as far as level of importance, but private means that these are staff-only events. So this might be Melvin J. Ballard's birthday. This could be brain trust meetings, things that only Ballard Center staff attends. Public are events that are open to the public. So this could be TEDx BYU, Idea Showcase, most of the events that we do. To check if your event is public, you can come to the Ballard Center website, scroll down to the bottom, and here you can see the upcoming events. There's a list of all of the events that are to come. So that's how you can know. When you're in the process of switching your event over from the planning to the private or public calendar, you can work with the welcome desk, and they can help you switch that over. If you're confused, come to us and we can help you as well. I forgot to mention, whenever you see a red triangle on the EMT, that indicates that there's a note that may be of further assistance to you. Sophie.
Yes, so event logistics, you'll see there's a hyperlink to that the RSVP has been created under a logistics checklist. That will take you to the Ballard Center RSVP. If you, basically to make sure you have that all squared away, just talk to the welcome desk. And you need the RSVP before you go to graphic design to do your marketing things, because they're gonna put that on your flyers. So that's really an important thing to have squared away. There are other important questions down here. Let me just highlight one of them. Has the risk management form been filled out? I'm going to be totally honest. One time I thought Rose filled out the risk management form and Rose thought I filled out the risk management form, and our event was canceled and we found it out the morning of. So like, that's just not optimal. Make sure if you have an outside event, you do risk management forms. However, I'll just add that Rose got our venue back because she's a ninja, but that's not always going to happen. So fill out risk management forms. And then there's just, so you'll see we said yes for prize money because that's something that our event's going to include. But yeah, so that's an important thing to look over. Then under that, we have food and drink. So let's just click yes on that, as much as, yeah, that's going to be impossible for a virtual event. But for food and drinks, BYU, for insurance purposes, we have a specific approved list of off-campus caterers. So if you use on-campus BYU, like BYU Food to Go, things like that, you can order whatever fits in the budget. But off-campus, on the note, there's a hyperlink to which caterers are approved and which are not approved. Another kind of funny thing to think about is BYU has a contract with Coca-Cola. So all of the drinks, if it's not water that you use, need to be Coke products. That being said, we do prefer you use the water dispenser and cups. It's healthier for you anyways. And then speaking of cups, paper goods are a really important thing that I forget, I think, every time about paper goods until the day of, which is so bad, because they're important. And usually you can ask your caterer, whoever it is, if they supply those things. And a lot of them will, like Papa John's, but you have to ask. And if not, then contact Rose, me, or Kate, contact the events team and ask if we have enough for you at the Ballard Center. And if not, we can order some.
Hey, so Sophie, two things. One, regular water obviously doesn't need to be purchased, but if anyone does buy bottled water, it does have to be Dasani. It's just one of those silly things that we're held into contract at BYU, and I'm sure every company that you work with going forward is just going to have certain contracts that they need to abide by. So I just wanted to clarify that. But yes, we'd rather use just the water bins. And then Luke had a question: is the training for filling out the risk management forms on my roadmap? And Sabrina just answered, it's under the event risk management section of the marketing events team on the employee orientation.
Thanks, Alicia.
Great. Thank you so much, Sophie and Alicia. So we're going to keep moving down here to these two sections: webinar, Zoom, event checklist. Ours is not on webinar or Zoom, but I'm going to show you, if we do select yes, what comes up. Lots of questions. We're not going to go through all of them, but hopefully these will kind of help you to think through your event, all the things that need to be in place beforehand if you were planning an event on webinar or Zoom. Below this is a guest speaker checklist. Ours is not going to have a guest speaker, but if it were, this is what we would fill in. This is super important because when guest speakers come, we want to be able to have everything laid out for them, have it very streamlined and easy for them. Hopefully this will help us. Right here, you'll see a hyperlink, has a speaker actually confirmed. This takes you to a Google document that has email templates. These are meant to assist you when you are in communication with your guest speaker. They're not essential to use, but feel free to download them and use them, modify them however you'd like. They'll help you to have contact with them consistently. So there's one that's 4 weeks before what you need to send to them, 2 weeks before, 1 week before. the day before and then after the event. So that's meant to help you, not essential, but you can use it. The last thing I want to mention here is this: has parking been organized for them? This is huge because we've definitely been bitten by this one where we have not had parking completely squared away and our guests got a ticket. So try not to let that happen to you. Hopefully this will help you. It has a hyperlink to everything you need to do to make sure the parking is set. So with that being said, we are going to send you to your breakout rooms again. This is a big section to fill out. We want you to fill out everything we just went over on this page under the tab of event planning up to the end of logistics. So we're going to give you 7 minutes to do that since this is so much longer. And that being said, I'm putting you in your breakout rooms now. Good luck. Let us know if you have questions when you come back. Work out okay?
Can like several people be writing on like this document, or is it only like one person at a time?
Yeah, so if you select the Microsoft Excel Online option, you should be able to all collaborate at the same time. Sometimes it's a little bit glitchy, but it should work. Did you try that?
We were just writing on it in the box, so we like didn't move it. Or I don't know what you're doing, but I was having troubles with like me being able to type on it.
Yeah, it was a little weird because like it was working for me and Phoebe, but then I don't know if it was, yeah, just not letting Maddie get on it. But
So if you have the Box app downloaded on your laptop or your computer, that's what will allow you to edit. So there are sometimes individual computer and account problems why it doesn't work. So we can troubleshoot that definitely.
During your next breakout room, if you continue to have problems, we can come in and try and help you as well. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to turn the time over to Zach Eliason from the graphic design team, and he is going to explain this next section, graphic design. So take it away, Zach.
Right. So this should be pretty simple. It's really straightforward. I don't know how many of you have looked through the graphic design request, hopefully. Most, if not all. And that's all pretty like self-explanatory. We wanted to cover, yeah, look, it's highlighted in red, that we want the graphic design requests filled out 3 weeks before your event, so that you can have, that gives the designers 2 weeks, and then you have a week before to actually use the materials and make sure they're marketed correctly. And obviously, like, that's hopefully we'll like always have it on time and it'll be ideal. And you know, you're always like have a schedule, but even if it's like last minute, we would like it to still be sent to the graphic designers rather than being done like inside each club, just because we have like a style guide that we go from that makes sure people can tell just by looking at it it's a Ballard Center. So if you have someone on your team or you want to be, you know, do your own flyers or graphic design, then that's totally fine. You just have to talk to Alicia about getting the training for that and the style guide and stuff. Is that all we had? Oh, and like, don't be afraid to contact either the designer directly, or I think even on the event tool, I saw just the general Ballard Graphics Design Outlook email. So you can always reach us through either of those ways.
Awesome. Does anybody, yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Zach about graphic design? So you just press on that link right there, Kate, if you want to just kind of highlight that, and that's how you just get to the graphic design request form.
Yeah, it will pull up.
It looks like it opened in a different window or something, like it went to the side.
Yeah, it pulled up on the screen. Sorry, this double monitor thing is
You guys-
making me dizzy. Here it is. Okay, so we'll pull up this. Fill this out.
So yeah, it should like just take you through it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just fill out all the things you need. And there's a spot for like extra comments or questions, which we always read and go off of. We're happy to stay in close contact to, so you can oversee how the project's coming.
Thank you so much, Zach.
Yep. Thank you.
Graphic design is awesome to work with. So if you have any questions, they will be happy to help you.
If I can just add one thing, the team's so gracious to work with, and just thinking through your guys' timeline, Zach was mentioning 2 weeks before your event, so you have 1 week to market, but that's only if you want to market for 1 week. So some of your events are bigger. Let's say that Cotopaxi event where we got 700 people to attend. 1 week's probably not enough time to fully market, and Sabrina can go into that with you. So just try and get those submitted 3 weeks before the materials actually needed. A lot of the feedback that was submitted to the graphic design team was requests from leaders like you asking for more back and forth and wanting to see more drafts of the graphic design material. And that's only possible if we get it to them in advance. So just food for thought. Thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Leisha. That's super, super helpful. And just going off what we said, what Alicia just said, we really want marketing to be effective, and especially for virtual events, since like marketing has kind of changed. We really want to be on top of our game so that we can have the most time possible to market, so our events can be as effective as possible, because you can't really have an event if nobody comes. So this section of the tool is dedicated specifically to marketing. And this is something that I'm really excited about. So I am Sabrina. I'm the general marketing coordinator for the Valley Center. And for like this specific example of the event management tool, I am the one in charge of this section. But I am not going to be the one in charge of every team's marketing. Each of you should have a marketing lead or someone that can fulfill that role on your team, because I don't really have the bandwidth to market every single event. But that being said, I'm here to help anyone with anything that they need, and also to provide coaching for marketing. So my email, theballardmarketing@byu.edu, is right there. So please, please feel free to reach out for anything that you need help with, especially with virtual events. We're all kind of trying to figure this out together. So the event management tool has just like a simple marketing plan outlined. And you can see it right here with these 3 questions. So it asks, who is your audience? Who can help you target this audience? And what tactics can assist you in targeting this specific audience? So for our awareness event that we're planning, our audience is all BYU students. We've listed some of the people that can help us target this audience. So employees of the Ballard Center, of course, through their social media accounts and through word of mouth, as well as general Ballard Center resources like the newsletter, as well as like newsletters from other colleges. So we've listed some of those things. And then underneath that, we have tactics, which Sarai just mentioned, and then who will be in charge of executing those tactics. One of my favorite features of this little section is this orange portion at the bottom. And this is just a list of marketing ideas for different events. So we have general events, campus-wide events, and this new virtual events section. So these are just things that people have commonly used in the Ballard Center in the past to help with events like this. And if you guys have any questions or anything to add to this, we would love to hear them, so you can email me. And yeah, and then I think, is there still a tab that has all the processes for these, Kate? Or a link?
Sorry, muted. I'm not sure what happened to the tab. We will put that back up.
I think there's
Not
a
right
link.
now.
Yeah, so normally there's a link that is right here on the commonly used marketing tactics. That's a link to a Google Doc, and it explains basically all of the processes to put these tactics into action. So for example, it explains what size your posters need to be, or how you can get approval to have A-frames on campus and where they can go, or like what some tips are for posting Facebook and social media content. And so, yeah, that will normally be linked into the event management tool.
Hey, Kate, can you hit the marketing execution tab? Is that it?
So that's a different tab. Yeah.
Just one thing I wanted to add under audience, if you'll go up to that. I'm anticipating that most of your events will not be all BYU students. So for example, impact investing, you might target your marketing on the business school and the economics department, and there might be some more targeting that happens. You know, impact investing, you might also be saying, well, actually, we really want to get more of a diverse student blend. And so you might target family, home, and social sciences. So just to kind of think through, or I know several times the advisement team, they've said, we're going to do this campaign focused on freshmen and this campaign focused, and then a couple months later, they'll do a campaign focused on RMs, because it's really hard to target all 30,000 students. So sometimes targeting colleges or departments will actually make the creativity and ideas for marketing easier for you.
Thanks, Alicia. Now Rose will walk us through event approval.
Now, you've done, by the time you get here, you will have done a lot of thinking and work and filled out your event management tool. And at least 2 weeks, it can be before then, but at least 2 weeks before then, you need to get approval to have your event go forward. Now you're saying, well, what is this? Why is this happening? What is this all about? This is new, and this is to help make sure that our events are successful. Most students getting involved in the Ballard Center come because of an event they've been involved in. And we want to be successful, and we want to make sure everything's on brand. And that requires a bit of effort. There are, in the past, we've had events that people have tried to throw together at the last minute thinking they could just wing it. We don't wing things at the Ballard Center. We really want to have things well planned out and well executed. That being said, there are times where we will have a last minute event. A partner, Todd may be in touch with a partner who all of a sudden is available and will be on campus or be in Utah at a certain time. And we will do everything we can to make sure that these are big name people that come on campus, and we want to make sure, we will do everything to make sure that's an amazing event. And that may all be last minute. Or Salt Lake may call us and say, we have somebody, you know, can you have a guest speaker come? So there are exceptions, but those exceptions are only for very important situations. It's not because people haven't planned. If people have not planned, we will cancel events. So we want to do that before any marketing happens. That's why at least 2 weeks before you need to have your event approved. It's a simple process. What you do is you just email ballardevents@byu.edu, and either Kate, Sophie, or I will get back to you within 24 hours. And what we will do is we will go into your folder, into the event that you're planning on Box, you know, so we have access to your folder on Box. We will go in there, we will look through it, make sure everything looks okay. We'll send you back any questions. And at that point, we are still far enough out. We're 2 weeks out of an event, and it's before you've marketed anything. We'll know what we can do to either help you be successful and just go forward, or say, look, this just isn't going to happen in 2 weeks from now. We need to postpone it, or put it back another week. We need to do something to make sure you can be successful. So that is what this is all about. It is also your event. Once you've been approved, the welcome desk will then have you on a list. That event will be on a list, and you will be able to check out the card to be able to buy food or to pay for anything you need to for your event. Any questions from anyone?
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rose, for that. So this next section is entitled Marketing Execution. It's really simple. Basically, it's just a checklist to make sure that you have everything that you need prepared for actually marketing. So a lot of this has already been discussed previously in the tool. This is just to make sure all of it is double checked and there's no mistakes in the RSVP or anything like that. The next little part is potential reservation checklist. And so these are items that would need to be reserved mostly for in-person events. But just like an example is that we have card swipers, and that's how we get a lot of data for our events. Those are things that need to be checked out through the Ballard Center from the welcome desk. But if you have card swipers, oftentimes people have Macs and those don't connect. So you have to make sure that you also reserve adapters so that people can connect the USB in the card swiper to their Mac. So these different items can be reserved at the Ballard Center welcome desk. Some of them can be reserved from the dean's office, which the welcome desk can reserve for you, or external relations.
Great. Thank you, Sabrina. I know this is getting long at this point. We're probably all getting a little technicky. If you need to do a little stretch, that's fine. Go ahead. We're going to continue forward. So next we have these two tabs, day of event and virtual day of event. You only need to fill in whichever one is applicable for your event. We filled in both of them for the sake of the training. So we'll just run over those quick. We've got the day of event and then the virtual day of event planning.
So
Kelsey.
you'll notice in the day of event, there's early event prep and event setup. Early event prep just means things that should be set up before the day of the event. So for us, it's like Visa gift cards and we got to get the videos prepped. But in a normal in-person event, it would be like loading up the Ballard Center cart with different materials. And there's an example supply list on the notes section. And then event setup, it's important that you've got someone in charge and you have a whole team helping. It's also important to remember that if you reserve a venue, your venue reservation time will be from the beginning of setup to the end of cleanup. So it's not, don't ever reserve a location just for the time of your event. And then 15 minutes before your event setup should be done. We should have the event totally looking nice and having people at the door greeting. So all this being said, Ballard Center events usually go off without a hitch. However, sometimes they don't. And I have a horror story of one time that it didn't. So I was in a program and I went to an event, and I mean, first of all, there were no tablecloths, which is egregious. We should always have tablecloths. So we're there, and I saw on the flyer that the room number was wrong. And I was like, ooh, this is awkward. This room number doesn't actually exist. So I texted people in this program and was like, hey, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. People will know what we mean. Surprisingly, people didn't know what they meant. And no one could find the room. So we waited, we started the event a little bit later because people kind of trickled in. It was a little awkward. The speaker starts and he's doing awesome. And then in the middle of his speech, the smell of pizza fills the room. Then even worse, the pizza boxes enter the room. And I look at the head of this program with like lasers in my eyes being like, do not touch the pizza. Thinking that like they probably worked. My lasers were broken that day, and the program lead stands up and went to the pizza and started dishing the pizza out in the middle of the speaker. The speaker stops because this is extremely awkward and is like, you know what, let's just take a break and have everyone just eat pizza. So then people eat pizza, some people even leave. He picks up again in his speech, and then lo and behold, the program lead stands up and goes for seconds in the middle of this speech. And here's the thing, I'm convinced the only reason this happened is because we didn't have tablecloths. We should always have tablecloths. But basically this was just horrible. And the moral of the story here is that this won't happen if you plan your event program, which is this next section. If you can decide, okay, when is this going to arrive? When are we going to eat pizza? Is it before? Is it after? If the pizza arrives in the middle, what are we going to do? And come up with your backup plans. Also, this won't happen if you have common courtesy and event etiquette. So just as important as our Zoom etiquette, not being all like weird on Zoom, the same thing is true for in-person events. We want to be so respectful of our speakers and their time, and respect the lasers coming out of others' eyes. Post-event, that is cleanup, and just make sure we don't neglect cleanup. With virtual events, cleanup won't really be necessary, but that's all I got there. So I think we have a minute to just do a quick 3-minute breakout room. So everyone just go in your breakout rooms and try and fill this out to the best of your ability. A lot of it will be hypothetical, just make sure you understand. And let me know if you have questions.
No? You guys are doing so good. I'm sorry this is so long and tedious. Hopefully it will be helpful to you. Okay, we are cruising. We're on post-event report. Our event's already happened. Here we are. You'll notice this section is not filled out because we have not yet had our event. You haven't either, so you won't go in breakout rooms for this. But I'm just going to run through some little details here. This section is super important. It's easy to skip this because once we're done with our event, we're happy, we've celebrated, and sometimes it's hard to get back to this post-event report. But this is crucial. Just want to highlight a few important details here. So venue, did this venue suit your needs? Will there be a place that's better for next time? Food, did you have too much, too little? These are really important details so that when you do the event again, if you do it again, you can have that feedback and you can know what will work better for next time. Marketing, did your marketing work? Was there something that didn't work, something that would be better? I forgot to mention up here too, this actual number of attendees. This is important because this will go into your annual report that you fill in the end, at the end of the year. So doing these sections, although it might be tedious, it will actually help when you get to that annual report and you have to remember all of these details. If you have it already written down, that will be a lot smoother going through it. And then right here, there's a section for feedback. You'll see event lead. This is your team. You can fill in your feedback here. And then Ballard Center support team. Either someone from the events team or a success manager will be going to your event. And this is a section that they will fill in to give you additional feedback. Okay, I'm going to turn the time briefly over to Alicia to explain a little bit more about these student hours because I know they can be confusing.
Great. No, I'm really excited about this section as a whole. I know I complete these for the events I put on with Y Prize Ballard Stories. And even though I've done the event before, I do it once a year, so I forget a lot of the best practices. And me being able to speak to myself from the past has been so helpful. And I hope that you find that also. Or if you guys get hit by success or graduate, and that this will just help the future you execute a well-run event. So this is just student hours. I think many of you guys are familiar. No, we probably have a third of you that are brand new. At the end of each semester, we ask you for certain numbers that go into our annual report. And essentially what we want to know is level of participation. We want to know not just the number of people that have participated, but the level of engagement. I'm going to say for, so if you, for example, are SIP and you have 100 students that participate in SIP, or our on-campus internships for those that are new, not all participation is equal. So out of those 100 students, maybe maybe all 100 show up on the first week of class, but by the second week of class, you have 2 people drop out. So those 2 people wouldn't be at a very high level of engagement within SIP. And so So at the end of the semester, what SIP might do, and Kate, we can just go ahead and throw in this fake 100, is we might put 2 people at exploring. We might put, well, maybe I should explain what each of these mean first. Exploring is a very light interaction that students have with the Ballard Center. This is when they come to our public events. Maybe they just come and interact with us for one evening, as you can read here, but we haven't really got them to attach to a specific program. So what I want to say is when you fill out the numbers for your events, most of your events, especially if they're info sessions, or maybe just a guest lecture, most of your students are going to come in at the exploring level. The learning level's a little bit higher level of engagement, but I'm trying to think of an exception for events. Well, let's do this. The Social Venture Academy, you guys host your idea showcase 1 to 2 times each year. And so the 400 students that come to the Idea Showcase, and for context for those who have never attended, the Idea Showcase is such a fun event. They have somewhere between 6 to 15 social entrepreneurs attending, and they are pitching their brand new ideas. So you'll hear about biodegradable plastics and how people are getting others out of poverty. If you just want a burst of, of inspiration and hope, show up to the Idea Showcase. So for them, the 400 students that casually attend and they're voting on their favorite venture, those are going to be the exploring level of students. Let's say the 10 teams that show up to pitch what they're talking about, they're going to be a higher level of engagement. By the time they're ready to pitch their venture, they would either be at a learning or engaging or contributing level. And so let's say we have 10 teams and each team has 2 people show up. So we put 400 at exploring, and let's say we put 20 at engaging. Most of these events will have 0 unpaid hours unless somehow they're doing something for your partner. So SIP, I'm going to use them as an example. They're not an event, but they will still be sharing their hours at the end of the semester. SIP, each student does 7 to 9 hours a week. And so by the end of the semester, those 100 students have contributed 150 hours. And so those are 150 unpaid hours to a partner. Sometimes where you might have unpaid hours for your events, if you have any volunteers that are helping you set up your events, that's typically where we get unpaid hours for events. So I know I'm not fully diving into all of the definitions now, but each of those red blocks give you more thorough definitions. And what I want your takeaway is that not every attendee is going to be at equal levels of engagement or participation within an event. And we think that's a very fair way to talk to our donors when we're bragging about all the amazing things that we do at the Ballard Center. You know, we could say, oh, we had 15,000 students participate in the Ballard Center last year, which is true, but 11,000 of those are one-time events. And that's just not, we really want to give our donors, we don't want to give them an exaggerated story. We want to give them an accurate story of what's going on. And so that's why we're doing our best to collect all of these numbers to hopefully help get more donors to contribute to us, but also for you guys to see, you know, I had 400 people attend this event. Are we able to convert those students into Ballard Center participants? And if not, let's look into that. So this is not only helpful for the annual report, but also data analysis. Okay, any questions about that?
I guess, sorry, I have one question. So we're putting in number of students here. Does that go directly into the report, or is there a way to ensure that we don't have duplicates, right? Because if you have a student who participates in like 10 different events at an exploring level over the course of the year, do we count them 10 times or do we just count them once?
We do count them 10 times. So the way that we phrase it, it's not student participants, it's student experiences that we've provided. So there is duplication, and until your system becomes more streamlined, we're gauging experiences. So in the future, that's something you can help us out with specifically, but historically we haven't had that skill set. So what we share with donors is number of student experiences that we provide.
Cool.
And your other question, it doesn't automatically go to report, but this is just a way to hopefully, instead of like scratch your head and try to figure out how many people came to this event, how many to this, how many to this. Now you've got it all pretty much laid out in your box folder. And we're hoping that this process takes you less than 20 minutes to share with us at the end of each semester how many students participated in your program.
I had a question as well. So I think all the hours are fairly easy to track, fairly streamlined, but the one that I had a question about was contributing. I know that for specific events, obviously leadership team members will be there and will be contributing their time for that. But how do we track the amount of time that we spend throughout the week? Do you want us to kind of include that in each event? Or would you like us, or maybe there's a better way to track that throughout the year? I was just wondering kind of what your thoughts were.
I think, Garrett, what you guys can think through is for clubs, is it easier to use the event planner tool for you to track that, or is it easier for you guys to track that somewhere else? I know that's not a perfect answer that we can wrap up in a bow. But the big end goal is that we're grabbing, you've done the hours for us before, so you know what we're looking for the end product. We put this in here as a tool to hopefully be helpful with you creating that end number. But if this section right here makes it more complicated, then use your other system. Just know that my end goal is to get numbers from each of your teams. And our concern was that we were missing a lot of numbers by not breaking this down.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll develop some sort of method to track that then.
And then there is the justification. So either your volunteers, this is more of a club's question because you guys have so many volunteers on your team, either they track the numbers that they provide for you, you guys have a system for that, or you come up with a conservative number that on average your club members contribute 2 hours and you justify that, right? We don't want to be exaggerating in any way on those numbers. So.
Right.
Okay, thanks guys. We don't have time for any more questions, but if you have some, please don't hesitate to shoot us an email. So now for the part you've all been waiting for, financials. Very exciting stuff. Pretty much the important thing here is that you remember to take pictures and send all your receipts to ballardfinance@byu.edu. So that is really important because if we forget to turn in those receipts, then it's this wild goose chase and it's horrible. So as quick as you get an itemized receipt, take a picture of it and send it to Cami and include your net ID and what your event is going to be. That will make life so much easier for all of us. And Cami does it so we don't have to, and it's hard. So let's make her life easier. And then Ben is going to go over really quick PPP, and then we'll have Rose and we'll be done.
Yeah, just like 2 thoughts here really quickly. Just want to reiterate what Rose talked about earlier. If you don't figure out how to measure the outputs that you've identified as crucial to your event, then it's going to be hard to use that data to plan future events. So just make sure you measure them. Most often that involves a card swiper and then sending the data to me. There'll be a website for that later this fall. And again, yeah, it's just super important to save these here and then store them back in Box each time you have an event. But Rose already touched on most of it. So that's all.
One of the things that Ben brought up earlier is that if people, if you're measuring something over the whole semester, like you want to have, you want to see how many people are signing up for newsletters, and you do that consistently over several events, then you can start seeing what is actually happening, and what went well, what didn't go well, and what you can change. So these key outputs are so important, and Ben is a critical piece in the process. We hope that this has been a helpful training today, and that you've been able to learn something that will help you be successful. We want all of our teams to not just, we ended last year at this thriving organization that we had built over years, and now we're in the middle of a pandemic. So we want to not just, we don't want to just keep status quo. We want to thrive and come out of this innovating and changing and being creative and being successful. This event planning tool meets one of our Ballard Center objectives, which is teamwork. We are here as a team, and by the time you've worked through things and you fill this out and you know who's in charge, you quickly know if things aren't happening, so you can follow up. It builds great relationships. People are there to build a team within your team, but also within the larger Ballard Center team. And it makes us all connected. I cannot tell you how I love working with all of this support team at the Ballard Center. And by the time we get through a petting zoo, you feel bonded forever, as Sophie and Kaysen are taking all those animals back, and Dylan and Alex are, cleaning up. You want it to keep going on. And when you see each other, you feel this great sense of team and purpose, and we're all in this together. And that's what we're hoping to do with this tool, is to take away the having to worry about details, worrying about who's in charge, worrying about things falling through the cracks, which cause the problems. We want you just to think about, how can I be creative? How can I be innovative? What can we do to make sure that we are building our program and we're connecting students with the Ballard Center? That's what this is all about. And we're here to help. Anything we can do, any questions we can answer, please reach out and let us know. So thank you all for being here and going through this process with us. We love you all, and have a great week.
Wonderful job, event team. I want to thank you for the hours and hours and hours and hours that you put into recreating this tool. A lot of it was based on feedback from you all. And this is such a humble team that they'll continue to take feedback if you have suggestions on how to make the tool more user-friendly. One thing I want to share just as a last, as you know, each of our meetings, we have an item that you get to review with your director. And so we'd like you to review your event planning tool, where you're at with it, with your director this week. That's the non-student employee. We'll have this written up on my roadmap. Also by tomorrow, Cheryl and I, next week, our training is going to be on executing excellent customer service and hiring the right team. And so Cheryl and I will have a few small items to help you prep for next week's meeting. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll send an email tomorrow just reiterating all of that. And there you go. Lots of thank yous and loves in the comments. So I hope the events team gets a chance to read through that and feel proud of the work they did today. Thank you all for attending, and we can't wait to see you guys next week.
You all.